When I first read the line, XRP was never designed to be cheap, from Versan Aljarrah, the founder of Black Swan Capitalist, it stopped me in my tracks. Because for anyone who actually looked beneath the surface of what XRP was built to do, that statement isn't just an opinion. It's a reminder of how most people completely misunderstand this asset. Today, I want to break that down properly. We'll look at what he meant, why XRP's architecture almost requires a higher price to function at scale, and what realistic price targets could look like in 3 separate tiers: utility, institutional, and global infrastructure. And no, this is not a hype or hopium video. It's logic, maths, and adoption.
I am not a financial advisor. This video is based solely on my opinion on what I'm personally doing in this market. I also want to let you know that some of the links below and in the descriptions are affiliate links, meaning I may get a commission, but it will be at no extra cost to you. Please remember that under no circumstances will I ever contact you and ask you for investments. You can confirm all of my real social media handles in the description and also at milkshakematty.com. This content is for educational and entertainment only, and I'm not a financial advisor.
Before we dive into it, let's ground ourselves and see exactly where things stand today. Bitcoin right now, just over 115,000 US dollars, and XRP is trading around the $2.62. The market has been quietly consolidating while liquidity rotations continue. Bitcoin dominance has flattened and capital is starting to drift back into utility-driven assets like XRP. So let's start with the man behind the viral statement, Versan Aljarrah, founder of Black Swan Capitalist. In a recent interview, he said this: XRP was never designed to be cheap. It was designed to move value, not price charts. And when he elaborated, the meaning became clear. XRP's role as a bridge asset between currencies, between CBDCs, between tokenized debt markets, depends on its ability to handle huge volumes of value with minimal friction. Think of it this way. If XRP is meant to settle multi-trillion-dollar flows between institutions, then a low-priced token simply does not make sense. You'll need massive quantities of XRP to move those sums, which defeats the purpose of speed and scalability. Let's unpack the logic behind that. When you design a bridge currency, the goal isn't to have a cheap coin. The goal is to have a high liquidity, high velocity settlement layer that can move huge amounts of money with very few tokens. If one XRP is worth, say, 1 cent, and a bank wanted to settle $1 billion transfer, they'd need 100 billion tokens to complete that transaction. That's neither efficient nor scalable. But if one XRP is worth $1,000, that same $1 billion transfer only requires 1 million tokens, and the network stays fast, lean, and liquid. That's why Aljarrah argues that XRP was never meant to be cheap. Its design parameters actually imply a higher valuation if it's ever going to do what it was built to do. Let's just scratch the surface a little bit and see what's going on. XRP operates with a finite supply of 100 billion tokens. That's it. No mining, no inflation. Every transaction slightly reduces supply because a fraction of XRP is burned as a network fee. That deflationary structure, combined with speed and near zero cost per transaction, is what makes XRP appealing for cross-border use cases. Now add in RippleNet, ODL, and the XRP ledger's ability to tokenize real-world assets. We're talking about a system that could theoretically handle global settlement traffic in real time. So when people ask, why does price matter? The answer is simple. Price determines capacity. If XRP is going to be the lubricant for multi-trillion-dollar settlement machine, each token must be capable of carrying its share of that value. A higher token price increases the value throughput per unit, exactly what you want in a global bridge asset. Now let's stay balanced, because there is fair counter-arguments. Some analysts say, sure, high prices help efficiency, but markets don't price assets for utility. They price them based on supply, demand, and speculation. That is true. For XRP to reach the valuations that match its design potential, it would need genuine adoption at scale, not just crypto holders like me and you, but actual institutional use. Banks, payment providers, CBDC bridges, and tokenization platforms would all need to use XRP as the settlement medium. We're not fully there yet, but the rails are being built. Ripple now is en route to get a banking license. It's got tokenization pilots are running across the Middle East, and financial giants are exploring exactly how it can benefit them. So while the high price argument makes theoretical sense, the timeline depends entirely on adoption. When I look at XRP, I think of it in layers. Layer 1, utility function. That's where XRP is used in remittance corridors, smaller banking flows, and regional CBDC pilots. In this scenario, XRP doesn't need a 4-digit valuation, but it does need enough value per token to handle millions in daily volume efficiency. That's why I see a functional price for this tier ranging anything from $10 to $30. Then we've got layer 2, the institutional bridge asset. If XRP scales beyond remittance and starts acting as a universal liquidity layer between central banks, that's a totally different ballgame. Here we're talking about large settlements, hundreds of millions per transaction, global liquidity corridors and CBDCs using XRP as the bridge. For that to function efficiently, I see a functional price range anything between $100 and $500. Then you've got layer 3, global infrastructure scenario. Now, if XRP ever becomes the backbone for tokenized debt, real-time FX settlement and large-scale global payments, essentially forming part of the new financial infrastructure, the maths become extreme. In that world, the functional price could theoretically stretch anything from $1,000 up to $10,000 per XRP. That's not a forecast. It's a logical exploration of value capacity versus the supply. Remember just how huge their transactions would need to be. Just think about it for a second. Now, here's something most people don't realize. The higher XRP's price, the more efficient the ecosystem becomes. Because each token represents more transferable value, you need fewer tokens in motion to complete the transactions. That reduces slippage, increases liquidity, and stabilizes the network against volatility. So ironically, and a little bit counterintuitive, a higher price actually reduces the risk. It makes XRP a stronger bridge, not a speculative plaything. That's the logic that Versan Aljarrah was getting at. And it's the same logic that underpins how central banks view liquidity efficiency. So, how do we get from theory to reality? Ripple has been laying infrastructure for years. RippleNet, partnerships with banking institutions, and now regulated license frameworks in the UK and Singapore. CBDC pilots are exploring through the XRP ledger, and tokenization from real estate to carbon credits is slowly becoming mainstream. Each of these steps brings XRP closer to actual value transfer adoption, which is what eventually pressures the market towards functional price. But again, that's a long-term journey. It's not a next week move, it's structural. And that's why I personally view XRP as a long-term strategic position, not a short-term trade. Another point worth understanding is market psychology. For years, XRP's price has been suppressed by lawsuits, FUD, and misunderstanding of what it's for. Most traders chase volatility. XRP represents utility. And utility, by its nature, takes time to mature. But when utility finally meets with liquidity, that's when you see repricing events, not just rallies, but structural shifts. That's why a statement like XRP was never designed to be cheap resonates so deeply with those that understand what's coming. Zooming out, we're living through a historical financial reset. Central banks have tested digital currencies, and traditional systems are creaking under the weight of outdated infrastructure. Every time you hear about tokenization of assets, cross-border payment delays, or inefficiencies of SWIFT, you're hearing the problem that XRP was designed to solve. And solving those problems doesn't require a cheap token. It requires an effective one. That's the difference between a meme coin and a settlement layer. So here's how I see it. If XRP achieves its design purpose, even partially, then today's price of $2.62 will one day look absurdly undervalued. But I also believe in separating belief from evidence. Until adoption metrics accelerate, patience and perspective are key. For me, XRP sits in a category of assets that are misunderstood because they're early. They don't need hype, they need time. As Aljarrah said, it was never designed to be cheap. It was designed to bridge the value of the world. If you want to be part of a crypto community where we talk about research like this every single day, check out the Crypto Wolfpack. There's a link in the description, or you can go to milkshakematty.com. And if you're looking for a solid exchange to trade on, the one we use for the Wolf trade automation systems is Blowfin. Use my link in the description to get enhanced bonuses of up to $5,000. You can also find that link at milkshakematty.com. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and drop me a comment if you're holding XRP for the long game. I'll see you on the next one. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and as always, stay bullish. And remember, the strength of the wolf is in the pack.